courage is not the absence of fears. It's the fact that you are scared, but you do it anyway. And that's why, let me add this, it's so important to have a network of support, people supporting you, which is like people telling you the truth.
Hey everyone, I'm Angeline Constantinou, and this is Her Unapologetic Voice. This podcast was created for women who lead, but are done leading from apology. Here we have real, unfiltered conversations about boundaries, truth, and confidence. The kind of talks that remind you your voice is not something you find once, it's something you build. Every episode will give you something real to take with you, whether it's a boundary script, a reflection tool, or simply the courage to say what you really mean. So if you're ready to lead from your truth, not from approval, this is your space. Your unapologetic voice starts here. Welcome back to Her Unapologetic Voice podcast, the podcast where we spotlight women who are redefining success, reclaiming their power, and using their voice to create impact in the world. I'm your host, Angeline Constantinou. Today's guest is truly a force of nature in the world of communication. Alice Farella Monti has spent more than 2 decades breaking the traditional rules of communication and rewriting them in bold and innovative ways. With a 16-year legacy in the beauty industry and a current portfolio that spans renewable energy, prop tech innovation, and global startups, Alice has become known as a powerhouse in omni-channel communication, blending digital strategy, social media, influencer marketing, PR, partnerships, and live events to create narratives that truly move people. But what makes her story even more fascinating is what she calls her superpower, Illinearity. And we will talk about that once I bring her on the show. Her journey has taken her across the world, from working on cruise ships, where she mastered the art of negotiation, to living in Mexico City and eventually returning to Italy to build a global career connecting people, ideas, and industries. Like Alice in Wonderland, she has explored many worlds. Employed, and her story is a powerful reminder that success is rarely a straight line, and sometimes the most extraordinary paths are the ones that don't follow the rules. So without further ado, welcome Alice to Her Unapologetic Voice.
Thank you, Angeline. So when you were telling my story, I was saying like, oh my God, I'm so old. Did I all do this stuff? Yes.
I know, right? No, you're young at heart.
But yeah, so thank you so much, not just for hosting me, but like was saying before, for creating this new format of yours. I think it's so powerful because we grow on our path as human beings and professionals, but at the same time, we grow by contamination. So listening to other stories, other examples, they maybe break a lot of bias that we women have normally related to career, related to money, related to a lot of things. It's incredible context. So thank you very much for creating the space for us.
You're welcome. And I always ask all my guests, what time is it where you are right now?
Okay, so I'm in a moment of celebration of illinearity in my career because, as you mentioned, I've been moving in and out from companies. So from being an employee, then a digital startupper, then back again as an employee, and then again solopreneur. And at the beginning, this was like a weird thing. It was not very common in Italy to do. And now and after some years, I created this word that is illinearity, which is the opposite.
Tell us about that.
Which is the opposite of linearity. And I'm in a moment in which actually everybody's telling me, oh my God, this is so me. I can bring to the table new talents. This frees me a lot. So basically, I've studied languages because I am Italian, 100% made in Italy. So buonasera. And I've learned this: if there's not a word to describe something, that thing does not exist because you cannot think about it and you cannot choose it. So when I quit my job to found my digital startup. I was the first digital native skincare brand in Italy. And then I sold my shares. I had many interviews with HRs and headhunters. And at a certain point, many of them told me that my career hadn't had any value because it was not linear. And that was like a punch in the face for me, because I was not really seeing my value, and I was, giving to others the power to state if my career, my path had values or not. So at the time I said, but no, this shouldn't be right. I mean, because of the fact I've been in a company and then I created something from scratch that does not exist, for sure, I'm bringing to the table, marketing speaking, a new unique selling proposition. That's why I invented the word illinearity, that today has a podcast, mainly in Italian, has a manifesto, we do events, it's a community, but the main message is this, and I'm dedicating my life to it. It's reminding us that the true value of our light was not built during the straight traits, but when the line breaks, onward or upward. And too often we try to fit into definition, or we try, when we tell our story backwards, to say, I went from A to B because of this. I had this linear progress of, consolidating a position in a company. But this is not true, because when you take a decision that led you from A to B, you were not aware of all the reasons. You were not aware of all the risks. And so basically in those moments, so when the line breaks, upward is a success, but maybe downward it's a failure. That moment is the greatest catalyst of the change you have brought to your life, the change you have created in life. And maybe you label it as a failure, you label it as a moment in which you were burnt out, but at the same time, if you look backward, all the great things that came after that, maybe that moment was meant to be. So to celebrate this, I create illinearity, and to say which moment in my life I'm in now. I'm currently consolidating this because I see many people calling me for consultancy, like personal branding. So putting together leadership, spirituality to communicate who you are, maybe because you want to leave a place where you are, but you still cannot see where you want to go. So it's a process. And then because I'm called as a speaker. So to talk about linearity, especially in dynamic organization, where people are called to put on the table new skills that maybe they have kept there forever, but they could not really put into action. And I'm very happy, I have to say, because I would like to go back to those HR telling me that my life hadn't had any value because it was not linear, to say, have you seen the linearity community around the globe, man? Because it was a man, but then I prefer investing my time in this. So this is the moment I'm in right now.
That's great. That is amazing. And you have a story, like a little bit of a backstory. Share about the trauma that you went through, because I was watching your video.
Well, actually, professionally speaking, of course, it was not easy to leave a place of work that was consolidated. I was working in the #1 firm in the beauty industry in Italy. So you quit to create something that does not exist. So the first digital native made in Italy skincare brand. At the time, there were 3 digital native skincare brands, 2 based in the US, 1 in the UK. So I think that the trauma I had professionally was like not being accepted and not being recognized value. At the same time, was a very difficult moment of my life, because I was living a relationship with a man that was a narcissist, an abusive narcissist. So that manipulated me, and it was very hard for me to prove every day my value in this relationship with a man that, if you know a narcissist, that, they're very used to love bombing on one side and then gaslighting on the other, and also to prove my value to the market. It has not been easy, but I had inside of me this mission that, kept me going, which is the reason why I did my startup. Now I'm a consultant, but the thing is that when I was young, I had a bullied experience, and I was excluded from all the friends in my classroom when I was very young. I used to go into the bathroom of my mother and grandmother and saw them like putting makeup on. For me, that was like, oh my God, they're so beautiful. They're so invincible. I started, using makeup at a very young age. My mother and my grandmother let me do that. Working in beauty for me has been always a mission of empowerment. By creating the first digital native skincare brand, I was selling a premium car at at a very cheap price, but not because it was a cheap car, because I was cutting all the distribution channels that, raise the price. I was democratizing, I would say, the access to quality beauty to all women, not because they could feel younger, like compared to external standard, but they could feel beautiful for themselves.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
And still today, I wear lipstick a lot of times. I play golf, for example. I wear lipstick before any tournament because it's part of me. So it's a sort of, we women with the right mascara and the right lipstick, we can conquer the world. We all know that, right?
You all know that is right. And I'm glad you brought that up. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Right now, you've lived and worked in different places around the world, including Mexico City and Italy. How has traveling and working internationally shaped the way you approach communication and leadership?
Okay, so that was not difficult. I mean, it was because I was meant to do that. I was meant to study languages because I had this need inside of me of communicating. So I remember my mother speaks very well French. I don't. I used to ask her, like, how can I talk to that kid? How can I talk to that girl when we were traveling for holidays? Traveling abroad was the natural development of the university studies that I did. The way it shaped my way to grow into the business is, as I said before, contamination, and being able to see different perspective helps you to better form an idea about something. Let me articulate on that. I've lived in Mexico City for sure. I loved it. I've lived in Italy, many different cities, but I've also lived on cruise ships. And consider that on a cruise ships, there are more or less 50 different nationalities just for the crew. It's different. And you see different type of interaction, like people that introduce themselves in different way based on their nationalities, different way to negotiate, because on board you have to negotiate space, extra rules, a lot of stuff. The more you know this, the more you are able to use your brain to build up your perspective on what's going on around you. Either it's a job offer, either it's what's going on in the world. Today we have a lot of information, but this information sometimes just confuses us. So being able to see how different people react to situation helped me to choose better job, negotiate positions, negotiate with clients, and also, let me say today, wisely choose my business partners, because today, if you wrongly choose your business partners or clients, even clients, because we tend to see this in a very very binary exchange. Just give a service and they pay me, and that's true. That's how it works. And then you pay taxes. We have to say that. But on the other hand, there's the mental and emotional cost of dealing with people that do not share your same values. I've seen a lot of professionals, maybe not even with the highest paying client, that they were going crazy because the client felt them underestimated or told them things that were not true, didn't provide full information for making the work. So really understanding who's in front of you as a person before an entrepreneur, a professional, whatever, helps you live a better life. Because today our main resource today is not money, but it's time. So the more you spend time with people that are values at work or personally, the richer you are.
Absolutely. Definitely. Let's talk about that. Elaborate on that a little bit, because it's important to surround yourself with high-level people. Expand on that a little bit, please.
Well, I am a great fan of Anthony Robbins.
Me too.
I've been to his seminar for the first time when I was 22. And he says this, proximity is power. So literally being physically in the same environment. And let me just add, this can have an extension. So if there's a global community that uses digital tools to stay connected, to listen to stories, it's still valid. But really being physically in the same space with other people, it's so important. And let me share this. I have a rule on this that actually I did not create myself, but I heard it from an entrepreneur, Fabrizio, that lives in Turin. That is this. I think he has invested in more than 30 startups, most of them successful. And he said this, anytime I have to invest in a company or I have to co-found a company, I spend 6 months in knowing the people with whom I would do this. What do I mean? don't care about their CV. I don't care about the LinkedIn profile. I want to know what their values are. What do they eat? What's their, who's their best friend? Who's their mentor? What's their relationship with their wives, their husband, their daughters, their kids? Do they like pets? Which kind of pets? And the first time he told me this, I was looking at him saying, he's drunk for sure. He must have drank a lot of red wine, which is
Yeah,
good.
he must have been drinking tonight.
Yeah. The Turin region, there's a lot of good red wine. But at the end of the day, he told me, he looked at me and said, but why don't you do that? Because really, you have to know that these people are aligned to your values. So it doesn't mean that they have to be like you. They have to like the same things as you. Okay, but you have to know who's in front of you. The business comes after. I think that applies to other things, also to friendship. Sometimes we women tend to help also other women that are in toxic situation, but we ended up in, get intoxicated.
I hear what you're saying. I know what you mean. Yeah, because they're putting all of that energy into us, the toxic energy.
Correct. That's my rule, I think. And I think it's pretty true for as far as I've seen right now. Also, because when I did not apply this, I almost went burnout for the second time in my life for a client, and not the high paying one.
I know that feeling because a few years ago it happened to me, because you're pouring so much into the client because we want change, but then a lot of times they don't want the change. They're resisting, if that makes sense. I actually told her after, I think, the fourth session, I said, we're not fit to work together.
Correct. It's not just resisting to change, but sometimes they really do not want the change to happen because they are afraid to put themselves into discussion, which is the base if you want to progress and evolve as a human being or a professional. Sometimes having someone in front of them like you, that you are on a progress, that you question yourself many times, it's like sometimes for them an unbearable mirror, because you're showing them what they do not want to put into discussion, what they don't want. And it's about ego. But if you want to progress, you have to set aside your ego and to go very deep.
Oh, absolutely. And you know who taught me that? My mentor at the time in 2018. You have to put aside your ego.
Okay.
Let it go. Just forget it, because that's like an upfront. Like we're putting up a big barrier. I speak about that a lot because, for example, this weekend I'm flying to London to speak at this event that talks about breaking barriers. That's the theme. A lot of these women who are flying in from all over the world, they've broken barriers, including myself. It's not easy. I know that, you've done a lot. You also do personal branding and visibility, and you also help professionals craft their personal and professional brands. I want to talk about storytelling because this is very important. So why is storytelling so important when it comes to building a personal brand?
Well, first of all, because in an era of AI, I think that today more and more is valued the genuine contribution of people and their personal stories. We came from an era of social media. I built a business of mine on that. They're not like evil or the bad part of it, but they're tools. We come from an era where you could fake it, really. You could pretend you were living in amazing villas, doing like a lot of things that were not true. But today I think people are tired of it. And so today, in a world where, a lot of people embrace those detours professionally, those illinear paths, it's more and more important to tell people not just what you do. I'm a communication professional. I am a moderator and presenter. I'm a master of ceremony. Yeah, but how and why? How? The reason why many of my clients choose me as a moderator and master of ceremony is because I'm also an event designer. While I embrace the task to do the moderation, I also provide specific tips and element of improvement to the whole event. This is a unique way to do moderation, and also the why, which is the most important thing I work on. When people come to me for the personal brand, they start talking about the outcome. Okay, this is my CV. I want to improve this paragraph, or this is my LinkedIn. I want to, get more engagement and interaction. And I said, stop. First of all, close your eyes, and then we go through a combination of neurolinguistic programming, spirituality, visualization, meditation. We go to rebuild the main achievements that you have throughout your career, which are made of two things. Technically, what you did, what was your job and your task, but then what was the outcome and why was an achievement to celebrate? How did you feel when you achieved that thing? Because, today I think we should go after things we love, because it's not more the era where you choose a job because you have a longevity in that role. The world changed that fast. That's why you have to do things you love. And so in a world where AI is dominating, having genuine conversation in person or on social media with the right storytelling that basically says what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and in some cases with who. That's why it's so important to relate to valuable people, because it's about your reputation, okay? It's incredibly important. I start designing like this identity of these people that is very also liquid and dynamic. Typically, my linear consultancy, as I said, for those people that they want to leave behind something that was good, maybe a corporate career, to embrace something new that they still don't know what it is because they really don't have fully focus on something. It's like a creation of it. Storytelling follows, but has to be it has to have this kind of foundations. Otherwise, it's pointless.
Exactly. And many of the women listening to this podcast, they are rebuilding their identity after difficult life transitions, such as narcissistic abuse, domestic violence, divorce. So what advice would you give to someone who feels unsure about their next chapter?
That's so important, because even though you have a narcissistic abuse in your domestic life, this can have an impact on your professional life. Because, for example, if you're changing the sector you're working in, or you just came out from your maternity leave and you want to start again a new career, the way you are approaching the other person, that could be a CEO, an HR manager, could be impacted by the narrative of you as a victim of the narcissist. Okay, so greatest advice I can give is to invest in your empowerment, in your education. That could be listening to podcasts, going to a seminar with different speech, go for a personal grow masterclass. But above all, one of the things that I tend to recommend as an exercise in my mentorship session is build your track record. Because what is a talent? Okay, it's something that you do very well and you love to do. Okay, and so this is the reason why you tend not to give value to it, because you said, okay, this thing, I do it in 5 minutes. But this is about you. So that's why you need others to see your talent, because maybe me, the same thing, I'm able to do it in 4 hours, not 5 minutes. Building your track record based on what are your main achievements, and asking the same questions to the 5 people that they know you most. Questions like, what do you think is the greatest things that I've achieved in my life? What is the most reliable skill that you think I have? Okay, this co-creation of your track record will provide the confidence, okay, to approach business situation and the reshaping of your identity. For just this very basic reason. And I'm on the progress that too, because sometimes I teach these things, but I'm on the progress as well. The reason is because you are fueling your identity with value that is inside you. You are not giving the power to the other stage. You have value because people will judge you based on your career, on their career. That HR manager was the HR director of a very famous luxury cosmetic company, told my career hadn't had any value because it was not linear, because his career was linear and he thought he had value, and he got fired 1 year after. But this is another story. He was sent away. No, because sometimes I think as an entrepreneur, oh my God, I should have really, as an entrepreneur, a very skilled HR, because you need to find the talent, you need to find her, you need to take it, and you need to retain it. Because sometimes the thing is that you sometimes cannot retain the talent. To all the women, I will give this advice. And whether it's a mentor, whether it's a coach, whether it's better you have somebody to facilitate you, because sometimes you tend to discard things because you think there are hobbies, or they don't have value because they're things that you love. And so they hadn't have any value because they taught us that work is no pain, no gain. This is not true.
Not true. Exactly. I love what you said. The best investment that you can make is in yourself. And that's what I did. And that's what you did.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Attend seminars. I started even before I got divorced. I remember going to a women's function back in New York, and I was planning to move to upstate New York. So I booked a hotel room for the weekend, and I went up there. I was like it opens up a whole new world.
And this is, you said the right word, opens, because when you live a manipulative relationship, the manipulators, they can be also professionals. They tend to isolate you. They tend to have you close. You don't have any value. There's no way out. And this is so important. And sometimes it's tough because even though toxic, it's still a comfort zone for you. So stepping out, maybe you're drawn of energies and you take your suitcase, you book a hotel room, you go to a conference, you show up. No, I feel you. I can picture how difficult could have been for you.
Yeah, it was, but I just did it. And it was in the winter. It was in February and it was cold. It didn't stop me because I had that passion and desires. How does one, like I've coached women too, and they're coming from a place of reclaiming their lives and they want to do things, but they're afraid. Even though they're divorced, they're on their way to being divorced, they're still afraid to go out.
It is, and it's fine. In fact, I used to say that courage is not the absence of fears. It's the fact that you are scared, but you do it anyway. And that's why, let me add this, it's so important to have a network of support, people supporting you, which is like people telling you the truth. When I was in this relationship, my best friend looked at me and said, "You're ugly. You see, I mean, you're ugly as a person right now. It's not the Alice I've met before." And it has cost to her to tell me this. But, you know, it's having a network of people, of peer, that tell you the truth, that sometimes can stand your discomfort. Because, you know, I'm a very energetic person. I'm on the stage. I'm always fun.
I love your energy on this show.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. But what happens that sometimes this becomes a character I'm trapped in, because some people are not ready to see the sad version of Alice. Yes, I cry. There are moments in which I think I've done everything wrong. It happens all the time. Okay, but I start from there with a question. So having people around you that can stand your discomfort without the need to solve your problem, without the need to say, "Oh, no, don't cry, don't be sad, everything will be fine." No, that's what I mean as a network of support. And this, like, I give you my best example. Surprisingly, for those who know me very well, I'm a very business lady, but and a very straight, clean freak person. I went to Burning Man last summer. That's exactly the face of my mother or my friends. Now, why did I do this experience? As an Italian, for example, I don't drink at all. In fact, that's why Italy kicked me out, basically. I don't drink. I went there for a deep introspective journey with myself. Oh, I went there alone. And you know what? The first days, it was awful because I had to build my own tent. I had to drag water inside. There was a storm. There were floods. There were thunders. I was drilling my tent with an electric tool with the thunder above my head, and I had a mental breakdown. I was crying. In my head, I was thinking, I'm about to die and I paid for it. That's what I was thinking. I had people around me. There was this psychiatric 80-year-old. Every morning used to ask me, how are you today? And my answer was, for the first days, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I would like to be elsewhere. You know his reaction? What was his reaction? Okay, do you want a cup of tea? Idiot. He left me in my discomfort totally. I spent 2 days of that in that situation, and then I was rising again. Okay. That's it.
To the ashes.
Exactly. I took my bicycle. I lived the Burning Man basically during the day. At night, I slept like a baby in my tent. with my
gosh.
bed wrap. Yes, the day I used to take my bike ride, go to see the sunrise, and then sound healing session, and then seminar on longevity, and then yoga, and then journaling in the middle of the desert. And then the third day, really, from my ashes. Having network of support is so important for people that can stand your emotions without the need to try to fix you, and really leaving you in your discomfort. And then, okay, push you with enthusiasm when there's the time. Celebrate your success, okay, as well.
Absolutely. Celebrate your success. Nothing grows from your comfort zone.
Correct.
Nothing. And you rose from the ashes. But that was actually a breakthrough. The fact that you were crying, that's a breakthrough. That's actually, you came back, and that was your breakthrough, and then you rose up. Right?
But you know why? Because in that situation there was no business, no people around me. I fully expressed my emotions, because sometimes we tend to no, better I don't cry, because otherwise people see me as weak. Once you fully live your emotion and you ask why am I crying? Why is this thing making me angry? Again, you question yourself. The process to overcome that moment, okay, it's faster. I was in the middle of the desert, dressed like, I used to have this like a man shirts, like mountain trousers, like ready to climb the Everest, but instead I was in the desert. The ugliest outfit I ever had in my life. Wow. I was there without the need to prove anything to anybody. And it was, I would say, easy.
Oh my gosh, amazing. This has been such a fascinating conversation. So I just have like some 4 fun questions to ask you. One word that defines your communication style.
Rock star.
That I can see. Okay. A book that changed your perspective.
I think one of the Anthony Robbins book. Now, I don't know the title in Italian, but that for sure. Okay. And also the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
That's a good one. I love that. I love that. Definitely. And the most important leadership skill today?
I would say illinearity. You're ready to take a detour when it's time, and being able to enhance it and have the courage to celebrate your uniqueness. Definitely.
Definitely. And one message you want women everywhere to remember?
It's the thing that I used to tell myself in bad times. It's that all the resources are already within me. I am here to learn how to use them and to make experience. This is the only reason why I'm on planet Earth.
Now, for the listeners who will be listening to the podcast, where can people reach you? Is it LinkedIn? Yeah. Is that the best place?
Absolutely. So you will see my name and surname. It's the name of my account on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on TikTok. And if you pass by Milan or Lake Como, drop a message.
I will post all the links in the show notes. Okay. So right now, LinkedIn, and I love your name.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm talking to a movie star, but you're amazing.
There's a lot of girl power behind my name, because Monti was the surname of my grandmother, and she has an amazing story of girl power. She went to live downtown when she was young, and she entered in very important families, and she lived life her own way. She bought a motorcycle, and she started riding a motorcycle in Italy.
Love that. I absolutely love that. All right, everyone. So just go to LinkedIn, Alice Farella Monti. The links will be posted in the show notes. Thank you so much, Alice. It's been a fascinating conversation today. And your journey reminds us that success doesn't have to follow a straight line. Sometimes the most powerful careers and the most meaningful lives are built through courage, curiosity, and the willingness to explore new worlds. To everyone listening today, let this conversation be a reminder that your path does not have to look like anyone else's. Your experiences, your voice, and your story are uniquely yours. And when you embrace them fully, incredible things can happen. Alice, thank you so much for joining us on Her Unapologetic Voice. And to our listeners, if this episode resonated with you, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this conversation with someone who needs to hear it today. This will be live on YouTube very soon at Her Unapologetic Voice podcast. Also, please follow us on Spotify and Apple at Her Unapologetic Voice. And until next time, please keep speaking your truth. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Her Unapologetic Voice. Every conversation here is meant to help you build confidence from the inside out and find strength in your own words. If today's message resonated, follow the show and share it with a friend who's ready to lead from who she truly is. You can also connect with me on social media at Her Unapologetic Voice podcast for updates and behind the scenes insights. Remember, confidence begins when you stop apologizing for your truth and start speaking from it. I'm Angeline Constantinou, and I will see you in the next episode.